So that was a whistle-stop tour of the sort of basic feature set of these tools. They're actually surprisingly similar. They're both 1200 watt motors. They are both within a millimetre each other, the same depth of cut. 55 for the Festool versus 54 for the Titan. You do get variable speed on the Festool, and the Titan is a fixed 6000 RPM. I've never found that to be a particular problem, but if you are cutting composite materials or plastic edged goods, then you would burn through that much quicker than you would cut it with a Festool, for example. That's where that comes in. But otherwise, you know, they're similar size, a little bit smaller and lighter for the Festool, a little bit bigger and heavier for the Titan. Obviously, the Titan is made to a price, but you do get an awful lot in the package, and you could buy the £90, £100 package from Titan and actually start cutting straight away, whereas you need to spend a little bit more with the Festool to get a guide rail up and running. So those basic comparisons sort of out of the way, let's plug these in, fire them up and see what the cut's like. So, sound test. I've got a sound level app on my phone. I've got both the saws set with a motor 2 rows of holes away from the centre, which is where the microphone is, and the microphone is 36 inches away from the centre of the saws. It's not particularly scientific, I know, but let's give it a whirl and see what we get. First, the Festool. So background noise of about 32 dB. A peak of 85. Now the Titan. Peak of 87. So in terms of noise, not a huge amount in it. In terms of weight, I wouldn't have said there was that much, to be honest, but according to my scales, the Titan is a couple of pounds heavier, almost a kilo, sort of 12 and a bit versus 10. So, you know, if you're using it all day, you'd certainly feel that. When it comes to settling the saws on the rails, the Festool has little friction-fit cams on the base plate that can be adjusted one-handed until the saw binds, then backed off a fraction so the saw moves freely, giving the best fit on the rail with minimal play. The Titan has a similar process, though it requires 2 hands for each cam, and again the anti-kickback thing really doesn't help here. Now when it comes to cutting the rubber guide rail strip, it's actually quite hard to do with a Titan. What you normally would do, again in case you're not aware, the rail strips, these little black rubber pieces are removable and replaceable, and what you do, you trim that back when you've got your saw settled onto the rail properly. You just make an initial cut to trim that back, and then that forms your actual cut line. And what you'd normally do is just hang the saw off the back, what I would normally do, hang the saw off the back of the rail and then just run it forwards, guiding it as you go until you can get the whole of the base plate on the rail. Otherwise you don't get the full cut. It's actually quite hard to do because of this crazy anti-kickback thing which you can't disengage. So I'll do my best with this and see where we get to, but it's not far from a perfect system. I'm using a scoring cut, so I won't cut very deeply. Okay, so that's one guide rail trimmed back. Not bad. With the Festool, it's a simple straight cut to trim back the rail strip. Okay, so with each saw dialed into its own track, we can make a couple of test cuts. I'm going to do not whole all the way through, just cuts in. This is sort of very cheap and cheerful melamine faced chipboard. It's the kind of thing that will really chip badly and give these saws a real test. So we'll start with the Titan. Okay, and we'll do the Festool. With the cuts made with each saw clearly identified, we can take a closer look, and overall they're both really good, but on very close inspection the Titan does have some fine chipping on both the rail and the waist side of the cut, even though it wasn't much deeper than a scoring cut. Now I've been trying to figure out how to compare the dust collection between these two saws. How many cuts would I need to make before the dust you collect is actually measurable? Thousands. And then it occurred to me, you know, I don't care that much about how much dust it collects. What I care about is how much it doesn't collect. So here's a quick, simple and deeply unscientific method for doing this. You take a regular bin bag or trash sack or whatever you want to call it. You open this up. Okay, so I'm going to make 10 cuts across this little board to a predetermined depth of 10 millimeters. And we'll see how much dust it doesn't collect. Let's put it to here. I think on reflection 5 cuts is probably enough. So there you go, that's 5 cuts with the Titan. How does that look? I think it's fair to say there's quite a lot of dust not collected on those 5 cuts. Okay, a reasonably smooth playing field. Same board, just the other end. In there and in there. Okay. So, whilst that isn't by no means a scientific test, I think it's fairly clear from the pictures here that the Festool does suck up with the same extractor and the same hose significantly more dust than the Titan does. So there we are, that's a bit of a whistle-stop comparison between these two tools. I know I said at the start of the video that I wasn't going to reach any sort of grand conclusion. I kind of am really, because I think it's pretty obvious. By every metric that's measurable that I care about, handling, noise, weight, quality of cut, dust collection, the Festool wins. It is the better tool, and that shouldn't come as any surprise. It's more than 4 times the price of this little guy, the Titan. Now, this doesn't mean that the Titan is a bad saw, far from it. I think it's extraordinary value for money, and if you are in the market for a regular circular saw in the sort of £50–60 range, I'd seriously consider just waiting a little bit longer till you've got the £90 or £100 and getting this package, because it really is that good. However, if you're using these tools on a daily basis, just hitting measurable metrics isn't really good enough. I was chatting to my friend and subscriber to the channel, Thomas Kitchen. Tom has the Titan Tracksaw, he's had it for about 6 months, and he says it's a great saw, but he doesn't love it. And that really struck a chord with me. If you're using your tools on a daily basis, you kind of got to love them. I think I mentioned at the start of the video that the reason I got this guy was because my old one died, and here it is. This is my original Festool Tracksaw. It's sort of covered in paint spatter and it's all a bit broken and battered and held together with masking tape. But I loved this saw. I really did. That saw made me capable of doing work that I could never have done otherwise. I may grow to love this one. I'm pretty sure I'd never love this because it's fighting all the time. However, I am always up for a good fight, and I'm keeping this. The Titan Tracksaw I'm going to keep and use as the basis for a new series that I've got planned. It's in the planning stages. Keep an eye out for it if you want to come along that particular journey with me. It's called Tracksaw Workshop, and it's the idea of a workshop that's based entirely around the Tracksaw, much like mine is here. But that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Please do share it amongst your friends and consider subscribing, then you'll be notified if I put up something new. But for this week in the workshop, that's everything for now, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.